full complete transparency, you guys, had this anime not had a better second half, I definitely would have dropped it. Although I did bring you guys here to listen to me complain, there are some things I liked about this show. If you guys also sat through it and you felt the same way, let's have a heart to heart. I had planned on watching Tougen Anki anyways because I liked the way it was animated. I had watched a couple episodes and then I got an email from a company called Remao. It's anime powered by Remao. They have like a YouTube channel where they post free episodes of anime. And I was like, this is so cool. I was gonna watch this anime anyways. It's gonna be great. They sent me like a PR package and I can talk about it. I made it halfway through that anime and I was like, well, this is awkward. The box stayed under my bed untouched because I didn't want to open it until I made it halfway through the anime, made it to the half point. Didn't really care for it. And I was just like, well, I guess that box is never going to be open. And then at some point I got bored and I was like, you know what, let me finish this. I already made it halfway. Let's see if it gets any better. And the second half did get better. And then I was like, yeah, I can open the box now and it doesn't have to be awkward. And they don't have to be like, didn't we send that girl a box? I ended up enjoying season 1 of Tougen Anki, mostly because of the second half of the show. My interest shot up as soon as it made it past that episode 13 point. I was like, oh, okay, I'm here to stay now. I also want to elaborate, like, this is not the best show in the world either. I feel like this is a very mid show. I got a TikTok and somebody was like, this anime is mid. And it's like, you want me to argue with that? No, the anime is mid. I watch mid anime all the time. I don't know about you guys, but it just gets to a point when you've watched so much anime, I don't expect perfection every single time. So if you don't like mid anime at all, anime that's just okay, this ain't the video for you. You gonna be mad if you watch. I'm not even too good for terrible anime. Honestly, I will watch quite a bit of things. So if you're new here and you've never seen any of my anime reviews, I like to use the likes and dislikes format when I feel like the things that I like or dislike about an anime are very personal. But if I'm using a pros and cons format, it's because I absolutely think whatever cons that I'm going to mention will interfere with the watchability of the show. I should have used a pros and cons format for Tougen Anki. I just did not think about it. So this video is in a likes and dislikes format. We're also going to talk about some other extra things. But yeah, many of the things I'm going to mention are going to make this show unwatchable for many people. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people have dropped it because of what I'm going to talk about. But before we talk about the bad, we're going to talk about the good. Let me check to make sure my mic is still on. Let's get started before something else terrible happens. So I don't know if anybody's going to feel the same way I do, but I tend to like main characters in general in shonen. My favorite shonen main character is Tanjiro. I also like Deku. I am just a main character shonen anime lover. And that's because they usually have qualities that I find admirable, right? So yes, starting off strong but predictable. One of my favorite things about Tougen Anki is the main character Shiki Ichinose. The best quality of Ichinose's personality is that he is sociable, which is hilarious because nobody else in his class is. So I'm always like, man, he has little to nobody normal to talk to. Everybody in the group is a total weirdo. And I know he has his quirks too. Like Ichinose has his quirks, but it's hilarious just how normal he is compared to the other people in the group. I plan on talking more about him in like my favorite character section of the video, but yeah, dude, I really like him. I think it's a good sign for an anime when you can come into it and actually enjoy the main character. So yeah. Let's move on to like 2. The second thing I like about Tougen Anki, just the art style overall. I kind of have like a, what do you call it? I'm just going to say slash on my like bullets. One says the art style, but then the other says hot characters, but I guess it's the art style that results in the hot character. So yeah, I have many different art styles I like within anime and manga, and Tougen Anki is one that I like. Therefore, I swear to you, every other character that I see is very visually pleasing to look at. Now, somebody on TikTok said that the artist created the story with the intention of making really attractive male characters, and if that's the case, if that's the truth, if that is canon, then the abundance of all of these really good-looking characters that just continuously pop up and are introduced into this story really makes sense. I kid you not, I feel like I'm at a goddamn cake factory. Like, Mudano pops on the screen, smash. Kyoya pops on the screen, smash. Momoka, smash. Otsuke, smash. Every time they introduce another character, I'm like, Christ, why are they all so hot? I even really like the girl designs. Like, Yomogi's design specifically is just everything. And I don't like to go on and on about attraction when I'm doing like my deep reviews of anime, but it definitely makes the viewing experience better. I'm everything but a liar. I would not lie to you. I did like a lot of the designs in this show, and that's just because I am already attracted to the Tougen Anki art style. Anyways, there's quite a few dislikes to go over, but the last thing I will say about the things that I like about Tougen Anki is the relationship that Ichinose has with two specific characters. First, we're going to talk about Kogasaki. Now, I don't typically like tsunderes. I'm more of a yandere type of gal, okay? But I'm enjoying seeing Kogasaki and his relationship with Ichinose grow. It's very touching given Kogasaki's past. It's like Ichinose's friendship is healing him. I really like that there was more concentration and focus on Kogasaki's story. He feels like one of the more complex characters within the group, and he's not as much of a nutcase as the others, okay? He still has some things about him that are kind of weird, but he's a little bit more down to earth. Not even a little bit. He's quite down to earth in comparison to everybody else. Maybe in comparison to Shiki, I don't know. I paused it on this specific scene because it's one of my favorite scenes in the show. Shiki basically finds out that his lifespan has decreased significantly. He's gonna die in 10 years. So he races off in a very like comical manner, but then he goes in the bathroom and he just stares at himself and he's like, I'm gonna die in 10 years, trying to process it. Kogasaki recognized that that information disturbed him and followed him and went to go talk to him to make him feel better. And I don't know, for me, that was just such a heartfelt scene, especially for how his character started off in the beginning of the anime. The next relationship I want to talk about is Shiki's relationship with Mikado. The episodes may have been short, but this relationship had me in my feelings. Even though the second opening showed that they were eventually gonna fight, everything that led up to them actually fighting, the frustration that built up every moment Mikado started to believe Ichinose was like starting the fires, I was like, no, don't believe that lying bastard partner or whatever of yours. Ugh, he was so annoying. Even though I was super happy that they reconciled, I kind of wonder if it would have been cooler to see their misunderstanding carry past season 1 into like a second season. It would have hurt my heart, of course, but I just wonder how the story would have panned out in that direction. I don't know about anybody else, but this anime did a great job making me care about their friendship in such little time. I'm telling you, by the time they were fighting, I was like, no, what are you doing? Believe him. And as I said, Ichinose is very social and like doesn't have many people he can engage with in his peer group. So I feel like that made their friendship even more intense to me, knowing that he can't talk to nobody in his own group. They all crazy. Mikado was like his first sense of normalcy after his dad died and he joined the school to train. So yeah, dude, his relationship with Mikado, it is one of my favorite things about the show, along with his relationship with Kogasaki, which is continuing to develop. Luckily, Kogasaki is in closer proximity to him, so we'll probably be getting more fleshed out development between them rather than those two, because I mean, even though Mikado now understands that there are good Oni, he's still on the side of the Momotaro, so he's still gonna have to be strategic about how he moves despite his friendship with Shiki being repaired. And yes, we're finished discussing the boys and their makeup. And now we're gonna move on to the dislikes about this show, because boy do I have a lot to say. And we're gonna start off strong with the unnecessary fan service. I had made a TikTok video joking about how every main and like side character in Tougen Anki has massive boobs. And when I first noticed, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Creator dude, if you like it, I love it. Have your fun, have your fantasy. I create men in my brain sometimes that have specific physical okay, I'm gonna shut up. I was in total support of man doing what he wanted to do. I am in no way against fan service. Women have their own versions of fan service. We just see things differently. So obviously the type of fan service we get is going to be catered to us specifically. Saying that men can't have their fan service just doesn't make any sense. Of course, this is more of what you're going to get when it comes to fan service geared towards dudes. I understand that, therefore I'm not against fan service, but when episode 13 came along and the Dr. Mary was introduced, I was like, no way, dude. I'm not for fan service being taken away from anybody, but this is an example of when fan service is so disruptive it disturbs the story. I feel like her ridiculous build would have been ignorable if not for her trying to undress herself and show Shiki her naked body. And even with the fan service up until this point in Tougen Anki, this exchange just felt so out of place. Like, to go from a neutral tone to a grown doctor trying to have sex with a teenage boy, like, very off-putting. And it sucks because this episode is the start of the second core, and the second half of the anime is the best half. Next complaint coming in at number 2, the women in this anime don't have a personality. Or I guess you could say they have very one-note personalities. It's as if they spun a wheel to decide which quirks the women were gonna get and made that their guideline for every scene in the entire anime. Now, I believe as a storyteller, it's completely fine to start off with a base archetype and build it as the show progresses, but in the entirety of 24 episodes, none of the female characters are anything other than what you saw in the beginning of the show. The girl characters don't even feel like real people in their world capable of complex thought. Now, many of the male characters in Shiki's class aren't particularly fleshed out either, and many of the characters in the story do exhibit popular, well-known archetypes within anime, right? Personality archetypes, but for the female characters' personalities, they're especially egregious because of the already sexist corners that they're pushed into. Kuina could have been such a complex character with a strong moe gap, but because her lines are entirely focused on Rokuro, even during the serious moments, she's pushed into this role of like a love-struck, sex-obsessed girl. And then you have her opposite, which is Homare, who is like nervous and meek and hesitant, like the type of woman that inspires the main character to protect her. And it sucks because I don't think these traits inherently make a bad character, but it absolutely does when there's nothing else to the women at all. I mean, I saw more complexity within characters like Masumi, who was only in a few episodes than I did from both girls in the entirety of the anime. I do plan on sticking with Tougen Anki as seasons release, but I hope the ladies become more fleshed out as seasons pass. Perhaps with Homare, things will develop as they touch on her past relationship with her sister, but with Kuina, I don't even know. I just need something other than her obsession with Rokuro to work with. I need other thoughts. And now that I've gotten all that out of my system, I can talk about my favorite characters. I'm actually really happy that I structured the video like this, where I could talk about my favorite characters and reignite my joy. After talking about my major dislikes of Tougen Anki, right? The first favorite character that I have, I already talked about in the beginning of the video, Shiki Ichinose. Like many shonen main characters, Shiki has likable characteristics that aren't particularly unique, but my favorite thing about him is how extroverted he is. Honestly, when it comes to characters like Kogasaki and Mikado, I can only like them as much as I do because of their relationship to Shiki. As a character who is habitually oblivious and like is the epitome of golden retriever, Shiki just brings out many characters' sentimental side, and I always love characters like that. A couple of other great qualities Shiki has is he's observant during battle, doesn't mind failing if it means he'll learn. That's a big part of how he fights. And Shiki also has pride, but doesn't let it stop him from achieving his goals. He's quite flexible, and that's why I think he's one of the more lovely parts of the show. Second character we're gonna revisit is Kogasaki. I already said earlier, I typically don't like tsundere type characters, even if they have a reason for being the way they are. But with as much screen time as Kogasaki has gotten in season 1, he has started to grow on me, and his character development is happening at a reasonable pace in the show. I like how he is learning how to depend on other people, more specifically Shiki, like friendships where one person is dragged into caring for the other person despite themselves is a trope I enjoy when well executed. And the fact that Kogasaki has a reasonable amount of pride helps make his character more digestible. Sometimes characters like him can end up having so much ego that it makes them insufferable. But since the beginning of the season, Kogasaki has had a tasteful amount of self-esteem and self-importance that matches his origin story and shows that even though he's a victim of circumstances, he is still at his core a good person. Surprise, surprise, here is the third favorite character in Tougen Anki. It is Yomogi Momokusa. Much of my like for Yomogi's character lies within the harmony of her character design and personality. I feel like her look and attitude complement each other well. As we discussed before, for Tougen Anki, all the female characters tend to be very one-note and bland, but based on what I've seen so far, Yomogi is a smidgen more dynamic. But it could also be that I just like this archetype of character. Sometimes it really is just that. I could have added more Momotaro to this favorites list, but after filtering out all of my lust, I realized I'm not particularly attached to any other Momotaro yet except Yomogi. I know the characters are going to have a hard time with her, but I hope she lives. And now we're entering the honorable mentions section of the favorites. These are characters that I really couldn't put in favorites for reasons. I still wanted to talk about them. So here we are. We got to talk about Murano. If Murano wasn't constantly on skates, I feel like I'd like him more. Even in the episodes where they were using aliases, this man was still on skates, and I just thought that made no damn sense. But I like Murano. At first, when Murano was testing Shiki to see if Shiki was like valuable enough to join the class, I thought he was another student. I don't know, dude looks too young to be in the role of a teacher. My second impression of him was maybe he'd just been drawn to look younger despite being older. It just doesn't seem like he'd be in the teacher role. And I do think this explains why I like Murano so much. I'm quite fond of like the older brother, older sister type characters. So my enjoyment of his character tracks. I feel like that's the vibe he gives off. Not really wise sage, not really all-knowing teacher, more so older brother. That's what he gives off. Moving on to honorable mention character number 2, Masumi Yorogawa. He is so hot. Like, there's so many hot characters in the show, but there weren't any characters that spoke to me as far as being a direct match to what I find hot personality or demeanor wise. Watching the few episodes that Masumi was a part of, I'm digging him hard. Crazy wild eyes and all. Like, I actually went to look up pictures of him specifically and was thrilled to find out that not only is he better looking in the manga, there are also people like me who were super into him. There was like a little small cartoon of him dressed in a maid outfit. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm sure there will be more visually hot characters coming in the future seasons of Tougen Anki, but Masumi is spot on what I like. He's on the cover of volume 19, which is pretty far out, so I'm sure in Tougen Anki I'll get to see him again. And yes, I finished season 1. There has already been confirmed a season 2. I don't know who that character is on the advertisement of like the season 2, but oh my god, that is some fine stuff right there. Part of the reason why the Momotaro get me is because I have a thing for gloves. Gloves, right? That's the puzzle piece to why I'm just feral. It's because they all have gloves. Isn't it beautiful? Anyways, I need to get my mind out of the gutter. I'm so excited for season 2. I am excited for other reasons besides the gloves, the Momotaro that are bound to be introduced. I'm super excited, and I'm hoping it's only up from here. I'm hoping we don't get a crappy second season that will make me rethink the entire thing. I don't know. If you like the video, please like the video. If you have any opinions you want to share about Tougen Anki, I am definitely open to hearing them. I have not heard any opinions that aren't weird about Tougen Anki. I just feel like the crowd that is really, really into it is very specific. So it'd be nice to see if there were people out there who watched it but are like, I wouldn't say normal, because maybe a normal person wouldn't sit through this anime. People that are normaler, eclectic crowd. They probably would watch this. But I kind of also want the Come As You Are group. I do want to hear what people genuinely think, if they enjoyed it or not. I would love to hear from somebody that they enjoyed it despite not liking the beginning, like going in and being like, eh, and then like me, where I'm just like, oh, that's so great. Yeah, dude, I'm going to sleep. Peace out. If you've been here for the whole thing, because I rambled a lot, I cut out a lot. Thank you. I'm shook. I was so excited to review this and like edit this review because I don't know, I just had a lot to say about Tougen Anki. It's been a while since I've had a lot to say about a mid anime.